Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a February and March book haul and showing you guys all the books that I accumulated over the course of February and March of 2020. I'm a little bit behind on filming my haul videos because of everything that's been going on, and I've been super busy. Busy before the whole COVID thing happened. But anyways, so I have a couple of books to show you, so let's get right into it. So the first one I have is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I picked this one up at Barnes & Noble when I went to get a gift for my sister for her birthday, and I just couldn't leave the bookstore without getting something for myself. So I picked up Pride and Prejudice because I don't own a copy and I've heard so much hype about this classic and I really just want to read it. And also I just really love these Barnes & Noble classic editions. I know they're kind of basic, but I kind of like that about it. So yeah, I'm super excited to read this one. So the next book was actually gifted to me by my friend Brianna. We sometimes send each other things back and forth on Amazon because she lives in another state. So she got me I Hope You Get This Message by Farah Nazrishi, and this is a YA sci-fi, and it's basically following like a different planet or like aliens or something come into contact with the world basically, and the world's gonna end in 7 days, and it basically follows a group of teenagers who are kind of like living out their last days. They're getting secrets off their chest and everything like that. So I've heard really good things about this, and this was in my October most anticipated releases video, which I will link down below if you're interested. I know October is long past, but those are all books that I have either already read or still want to read. So anyways, yeah, she left me a kind note that said, "This is for Natalie, you big, white, nasty, smelling bitch. Just kidding, I love you, have a new book," from Brie. So, super nice note she left to me, but yeah, I'm super excited to have this one, and yeah. So the next two books I got are actually from Book of the Month, which is a book subscription that I really, really love, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I've been using their service for like 7 or 8 months now, and I just really, really love it. So if you're interested in signing up, you can get a couple dollars off with my code down below. Or my link, not my code, my link down below. But anyways, the first one I got was from my YA book box, and they no longer do the YA book box. They actually merged it into the normal Book of the Month, but when they still had the separate YA Book of the Month box, I got The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu, and this one is a YA fantasy, kind of a retelling of the story of Mozart's sister, who was also a prodigy, but she was overlooked because she was a woman, and women, you know, obviously couldn't compose back in the 17th, 18th century, and I really, really enjoyed this. I already read it. I'm not going to tell you my rating now. I'll talk about it in my April wrap-up, but I really, really adored this, and it's really good. So the next book I got in my normal Book of the Month box is The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver, and this is my second time trying out a Josie Silver book. I tried reading One Day in December last year, and I really, really did not enjoy it, so I'm giving her another chance, and I know a lot of people love her books, so I just decided to give her another chance. And this one is an adult contemporary slash kind of romance, and it follows a woman who lost her husband, and she's kind of grieving, and I think she like sees him in her dreams, and so she wants to go to sleep all the time because she keeps seeing her deceased husband. So it's kind of a story about grief and loss and love and everything like that. So this one sounds really interesting, and I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy it. So, oh my god, it scared the fuck out of me, holy shit. So the next book I picked up is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, and this one is an adult contemporary that's been getting a lot of buzz lately because it recently got adapted into a Hulu TV show, and I decided to pick it up in March and read it before the release. And I actually didn't get around to reading it until April, which is sad, but I'm not going to talk about how I feel about it in this video because I'm going to save it for my April wrap-up. But basically this one, like I said, is an adult contemporary that follows a very conformist small-town suburbia and one event that kind of shakes up the entire town, and it's very like drama-centered. So yeah, I will talk about my thoughts on this in my April wrap-up like I said, but yeah, I got this one and I really, really like the cover of it. So up next, I got Moxie by Jennifer Mathieu, and this one I picked up from my local used bookstore, and I actually sprayed the edges of this one, which I think look really good. It looks even better on camera than in real life, so like that's a win for me. But yeah, I did it pink, and then I did like the female feminist symbol on the side, which looks really good. But I read this one in March and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. This one is a YA contemporary about a girl who comes to realize her feminism, and she kind of like starts a revolution at her school. And I really enjoyed this, and I think this is a really good contemporary that everyone should read because, you know, it's got a lot of great feminist themes in here, so yeah. So the next two books I'm going to talk about, I actually bought because I was going to go to a book signing that was in the city like an hour away from me, but my dog got fixed the same week that the book signing happened, so I decided to stay home with my boyfriend so we could watch the dog since she was healing and everything. But, you know, I still have these two great books now that I can read. So the first one is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson, and this one is a YA sci-fi that follows, it kind of is similar to the book I was talking about before, I Hope You Get This Message, but it's basically about aliens coming to the planet, and I believe our main character in this has to make like a life or death decision. Like, I don't know why he got chosen, I don't know if it's like a chosen one kind of prophecy thing, but anyways, yeah, that's really all I know about it. I'm actually going to save this book for a video I was going to do where I read a booktuber's favorite books. I'm not going to say which booktuber, but yeah, I'm super excited to have this one. I really like the cover, and I definitely want to start reading more sci-fi. So the next book I have is Grave Maidens by Kelly Kuhn, and I've heard nothing but good things about this. This is a YA fantasy, and I believe it follows like this group of sisters, and they have like a really dark tradition in their like town or like wherever they live. And it's kind of like about how just because a tradition is a tradition doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing. So yeah, that's all I really know about it. I've heard really good things about it though, so yeah, I got this, like I said, because Kelly Kuhn was going to be at the book signing, and unfortunately I didn't get either of these books signed, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, I'm super excited to have this one, and I can't wait to read it. So the next two books I got are both books that I originally listened to on audio, but I really enjoyed them, so I wanted to own them physically, and they are both the same books in like the same companion series. It's not really like a series, but it's more like companion novels, and the first one is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, and the other one is There's Something About Sweetie by Sandhya Menon. And these two are both YA romances, and they both feature Indian characters, and I really love her books. I think they're so much fun. I gave both of these 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think they're just like a really great blend of like fluffy, fun romance and also culture. So yeah, I highly recommend both of these books. I can't wait to read more from her. I've really been enjoying her audiobooks, like I said. So yeah, definitely check these out if you're looking for something really fun and really uplifting. So the next book I have is one that I actually also listened to on audio originally from the library, but I really enjoyed it and I wanted to own a copy. So it is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This one is one of the most hyped books on BookTube like ever. And so I'm happy that I was able to rent out the audiobook from my library. But this one is a YA contemporary that's really beautiful because it's written in verse and the whole book reads like a poem. And the audiobook is actually narrated by the author herself, so it's just like a really like intimate experience. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This one, it follows a girl named Xiomara who lives in, I believe, Harlem, and she lives a like really difficult life, and she's kind of in a strained relationship with her mother because her mother's very religious and she doesn't view poetry as like a necessary thing. And Xiomara like really loves poetry, and she uses it as an outlet to, you know, talk about her life and to like deal with her issues. And so this is kind of like about a girl just finding her voice and trying to like break free and pave her own path for herself. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I gave 5 out of 5 stars. So the next 3 books I got are all from my local used bookstore. And the first one is Shatter Me by Tahari Mafi, and I feel like I'm the only person in the universe who has not read this very popular YA dystopian series, and I feel like everyone either like loves it or hates it. And I actually picked this up for a video where I'm going to read a booktuber's favorite books. It's actually a series I'd like to do on my channel in the future, but obviously I'd like to have my own camera before I do that, so I can vlog the experience. But anyways, yeah, so I picked up Shatter Me, and I also picked up The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater for the same reason, for one of those videos where I read a booktuber's favorites. So that's why I just picked up like these, you know, used little paperbacks to see if I would like it. So anyways, yeah, that's why I bought these books. So I'm probably not going to be reading them until I do those videos, but yeah. So the next book I also picked up from my local used bookstore, and that is Becoming by Michelle Obama, and this is her memoir, and I've been wanting to read this for so long. I've seen so many people like rant and rave about this book, and I just can't wait to read it. I love Michelle Obama, and I'm so excited to read this. So this next book I picked up, I actually got from my local dollar store, so I'm really surprised that I found it there, and that's I Crawl Through It by A.S. King, and A.S. King is one of those authors who I've heard really great things about, and I actually have not read a single one of her books yet, but I keep just like buying them and accumulating them. I think I have like 4 of her books now. But yeah, I found this one at the dollar store, and it's in like brand new condition, so I thought it was a steal. And in one of my future videos where I read booktuber favorites, I'm going to be reading an A.S. King, and I guess that's kind of like why I haven't read her books yet, because I want to like have that first one be a part of that video. So yeah, I guess that's kind of why I've been like hoarding A.S. King books. But anyways, yeah, I'm super excited to add this one to my collection. So up next I have some graphic novels, and the first 2 I have is volumes, I think 3 and 4 of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This is an adult sci-fi graphic novel series that I've been reading since January, and I've really been enjoying it. And it basically follows 2 characters named Alana and Marco, who are kind of on the run from assassins and also their respective armies, because their moon and planet are at war. And since they are from both the moon and the planet and they fall in love, it's like forbidden, and then they have a child who's considered like a bastard child, and they basically have a bounty on their head, and it's just a lot of fun. So I really enjoy this series. Just keep in mind it's definitely for adults though. It's got a lot of like trigger warnings in it, so if you want to know those triggers, you can look at my Goodreads reviews down below. But yeah, I've really been enjoying this series. It's a lot of fun. So up next I have 2 more graphic novels, and the first one is Amulet Volumes 4 and 5 by Kazuki Buishi. This is a middle grade / YA graphic novel series that I've been reading since December and really loving. And it basically just follows 2 siblings, Emily and Navin, who one day go to a house that has been in their family for generations, and they moved there after a family tragedy, and one night their mother goes missing, and they end up coming upon an amulet that imbues a lot of power and a prophecy, and they end up getting whisked into like this whole different like fantasy world, and there's a lot of like wacky zany characters, and it's just a lot of fun. And yeah, I've been really enjoying this so far. So yeah. So the next book I got is one that I actually pre-ordered before its release, and that is The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. This one is a YA fantasy that follows a girl named Alessandra, who is often overlooked because she's the second born youngest daughter in her family, so no one's really looking to court her, and she just feels very lowly. So she decides to court the Shadow King, marry him, kill him, and take the throne for herself because she just wants that power. And I already read this in March, and it was in my March wrap-up, which I will link down below if you're interested in hearing my full thoughts on it. But basically I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. It was a lot of fun. It was a purely entertaining read. So the next book I got is one that I originally read from the library in January, and I absolutely loved it, so I decided to pick up my own copy, and that is Orpheus Girl by Bray Rebel Henry. And if you guys don't watch my channel often, or you just aren't aware, this so far has been one of my favorite books of 2020. I absolutely loved it. So I will link my January wrap-up down below if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on this and other books I read in that lovely month. But anyways, yeah, this one is a YA contemporary that follows 2 girls who fall in love in their very conservative Texas town, and then they basically get outed and sent to conversion therapy camp, and it's a really harrowing story. It's got a lot of triggers. It's not exactly like a lighthearted book, but I just really enjoyed this. Like, I loved it so much, so it's just one of my favorites of the year so far, so yeah. So up next are the 2 books that I got from Book of the Month in February. So the one I got from my normal adult Book of the Month box is You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This one is an adult thriller, and this is the April pick for the Literally Dead Book Club hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala. I will link her announcement video down below if you're interested in joining her online thriller book club. I don't really know how to describe this book. I'm currently reading this, and it's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess it's like adult Pretty Little Liars, if you will. I don't really know how I feel about it yet. I have like a little bit left, but it's a ride. So I'll probably end up talking about this more in my April wrap-up, but yeah, it's a weird time. So the next book I picked up is from my Book of the Month YA box in February, and that is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This one is a YA fantasy, and all I know is that it has to do with pirates and mermaids. That's all I know about it. That's all I needed to know about it. It sounds exactly like my cup of tea, and I've heard nothing but good things about this fantasy, and I believe this is the author's debut, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really, really excited to read this one. I've been kind of like waiting to read this until summer because I feel like it would be perfect because it has mermaids and pirates, and for some reason that just feels summery to me. So I'm gonna read it when summer rolls around, but yeah, I love this cover. It's so gorgeous. So the next two books I'm going to show you are both ones that I pre-ordered in March before their release, and the first one is When We Were Magic by Sarah Gailey, and this one basically is a YA contemporary, and all I know is that it has to do with like a girl gang of witches, which sounds absolutely amazing. And I've been waiting to read this one until June, which is Pride Month, because I believe there's multiple LGBTQ characters in this book. So I'm super excited to read this one. Anything that has to do with like witches, I want to read it. So I'm super, super excited for this one. Vanishing Deep by Astrid Schultz, and I've actually never read anything by Astrid Schultz, but I've heard really good things about her other book, Four Dead Queens. And this one, all I know is it has to do with like an underwater world of some kind. That's all I had to know about it. Anything that just has to do with like aquatics or like underwater things, I want to read it. So I've been holding on to this book and not wanting to read it until summer because, like the other book I just showed you before, it's a summery book, and so I want to read it in summer. But yeah, I'm super excited to read this one. I've heard nothing but good things about this author, so I'm really excited. So the last group of books I'm going to show you are actually all ones that I originally either read from the library or I read them in paperback, and so I bought the hardcover editions. And the first one I have is the hardcover edition of The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I believe this is the 10th or 25th anniversary edition. It's really big. It's a fucking tome. It's humongous. And the font is actually really small, so it's huge. But anyways, I'm super, super excited to reread this one. I first read it last year in, I believe, either September or November, and I really, really loved it. So I can't wait to read it again. It made me cry so much, and it was just fantastic. So yeah, I'm super excited to have this one. I really, really like it. It's very simple, and I really like the end pages as well. So yeah. So the next book is one that I initially read in paperback, but I decided to get my own hardcover edition, and that is The City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series and the first book in the Shadowhunters universe, realm, whatever you want to call it, and I read this last month in March, and I really, really enjoyed it, more than I thought I was going to, honestly. I've been really eager to like jump on the Shadowhunters wagon because I feel like this series is such like an integral building block of the booktube community, and I feel kind of behind and out of the loop because I never got around to reading this when I was in middle school or high school, and so I'm happy to finally be starting the series. I plan on reading like one book in the series a month until I'm caught up and can finally read Chain of Gold because that book is gorgeous. But anyways, yeah, so now I have this nice hardcover edition of City of Bones. So up next is another book that I originally read in paperback, and I had a paperback copy from the thrift store, but I decided to get my own hardcover copy, and that is The Giver by Lewis Lowry, and this is the 25th anniversary edition, and I'm so, so excited to have this. It's so nice. It's like really reflective and really pretty. It has a really nice red spine. So yeah, I read this in November. Well, I reread it in November. Or was it September? I think it was September. Yeah, I read it in September. But yeah, it was my second time rereading it because I had originally read it in high school and I didn't really remember anything about it, so I decided to reread it, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely one of the ones that like holds up over time. This is like a classic dystopian YA story about a like defunct society. So yeah, this one's fantastic. If you haven't read it, where have you been? Do you go to school? If not, you should read it. It's really good. I just realized I have not been really telling you what those last couple books were about. so I'm sorry. I feel like everybody knows what City of Bones and Book Thief is about, so you know what, it's fine. But anyways, the next book that I originally read from the library and bought a physical copy of is Looking for Alaska by John Green. So far, this is like the only John Green book that I've actually enjoyed. The other ones were just like so mediocre compared to this one. This one I really enjoyed because I thought that the teenagers in this book were depicted really well. I feel like it's kind of like hard to hit the nail on the head because, you know, teenagers change so much with every generation, so it's kind of like hard to pinpoint them, but I feel like in this book, John Green really like captured the essence of it, and he also did the grief really well in this book. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So far, this is the only John Green book I have genuinely enjoyed, but yeah, I'm excited to finally have this one in hardcover, and I can't wait to reread it for the third time. So the next book is one that I originally got from the thrift store in paperback. It was kind of like a beat up edition, but I actually gave that one to my sister, who really loves YA contemporary because, you know, she's in the target demographic, so that makes sense. But anyways, I gave her that old paperback copy, and I picked up my own hardcover, and that is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This one is a YA contemporary that I read for the first time last year in September, and I really, really loved it. And it basically follows two people, Adam and Julian, who used to be foster brothers, but then custody got removed, and so they end up getting split apart. And then this is basically about them like reconnecting in high school, and they're very polar opposites. Like Adam is very outgoing, Julian's very reclusive, and he has a lot going on. And this is basically just about them reconnecting. The story is absolutely like heartbreaking. It's wonderful. And I just really, really loved it, so I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. You should definitely pick this one up if you haven't already. So the next book I have is one that I'm super, super happy to own, not only because I love the color of the cover, but because I really enjoyed the book, and that is Leia on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. And I don't own Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda because it's not something that I would want to reread again, and I just feel like I resonated with this book specifically because Leia was the first character who I truly saw myself in, and that's kind of like why I bought this book, because I would like to read it again. And I just thought this was like a really, really cute LGBT story, and I just loved it. So I gave this one, I believe, 4 out of 5 stars. It's really, really good, and it's one of my favorite like classic YA contemporaries. So yeah, this one's really great. So the last 3 books I have is probably like my most favoriteest thing in this entire book haul, and I'm so happy that I finally have it. And it is the box set of the original trilogy of the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. So this is the original trio before it got extended into a 6-book series. I had been borrowing my sister's paperback editions, and I decided to give them back to her, and I bought my own hardcover box set. It's beautiful. It also came with some like vintagey photographs from the books, and I'm just super happy to own this. It's just so beautiful. And yeah, this is one of my favorite series of all time. If you don't watch my channel, Ransom Riggs is one of my favorite authors. I feel like he's such a natural storyteller. And this one is a YA fantasy series that just really sparked my love of reading again. So it has a very like sentimental place in my heart. So yeah, if you have not ever heard of this series or you've never read it, you should definitely check it out. Don't watch the movie though. The movie is absolutely horrible. Don't watch the movie. But the book series is fantastic. So I think that concludes my February and March book haul. It's been a while since I have like filmed videos steadily because of like the whole COVID thing, but I'm happy to be making some videos even if they're like sporadic. But anyways, yeah, so that was a lot of books. I know I said I've got a couple books to show you when we first started filming, but okay, I have no shelf control, alright? But thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single upload. And I hope you guys are staying safe during this extremely scary time. Stay inside, wash your hands, and have a good day. Bye!